Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and we are in a river right now. We're kinda just exploring, trying to fill in as much of the map as possible so that we can potentially find a good spot to hunt for Enderman. That's one thing I kind of like about this game is that you have, even when you set a goal, achieving that goal isn't always a simple one-step process, right? Because like currently my goal, well, the overall goal is to beat the game, and that process has many steps, obviously. But even just the smaller goal of, yeah, find Enderman, kill Enderman, get Ender Pearls. Even just that smaller goal is not as simple as just walk outside and see them, right? Because there are certain places where they are more likely to spawn. So, rather than simply walking outside and killing them, I get to, do something else that's fun. It injects a little variety if it's not just, hey, go here, kill these things, bring back the loot, right? Like a lot of games, especially open world games nowadays, and well, maybe slightly less now than like a few years ago, but a lot of open world games back then were like basically a list of chores, whereas like, okay, go here, kill these guys, get the items. And well, MMOs are also very guilty of this, and to an extent it can be enjoyable, right? It's one of those things, those sorts of quests are enjoyable if you're just looking to turn your brain off and do. Why is that tree on fire? Okay. I'm gonna maybe check this out. I mean, there's lava here, but like, why are the trees on fire? Well, I feel like if the lava was the thing that was burning the trees, then they would have been gone a long time ago, but I guess not. Also, this tree seems to be on its side. Like it was chopped down? Like that was chopped? This is weird. I didn't think something like this was possible in this game. But apparently it is. Huh. Yeah, this is a weird place. I'm gonna go back to my boat. I don't think there's anything for me to do here. It's a weird. I just wanted to check it out because it was weird. All right. Where am I going now? Unfortunately, I couldn't get through that little straight up there, so I have to go down through here. What was I saying? I was saying, oh yeah, fetch quests. So fetch quests can be great if all you're looking to do is just something mind-numbing. But that's not really what I like to do, and that's kind of why, well, that and the fact that I never really had anyone to play with. That's kind of why I never really got too deep into MMOs, is because there didn't ever really seem to be a substance to the things they were doing in the game. It felt like busy work, and a lot of open world games back in the day, like a few years ago, like tops 5 years ago, a lot of them felt like they adopted that same idea of just, hey, give the players something to do, so that they wanted to fill the world with just easy things that would be easy to make, content that would be easy to make, so that they could say, oh man, look at this huge world we have. And then it turns out that it's not really that great, because yeah, it's a world, but It's not. It's kind of empty, right? And that's something. You end up doing the same things over and over again, and that's kind of what kills it for me. And I feel like a lot of other people as well. But that's what separates games like this, which, by the way, I feel like this probably has been said before, but so it's probably not a super controversial opinion, but I feel like Minecraft probably at least turned people on to the idea that, like, oh yeah, open world games are a big deal, but then the AAA studios were like, yes, let's make open world games, but let's not do the most important thing that Minecraft did and, offer a variety of things that are actually reasonably interesting to do. But that's one thing that I think this game gets right that other open world games don't, like the bigger ones. Except one big exception, and the one that actually the pretty much the only somewhat recent open world game that I have played and thoroughly enjoyed, Breath of the Wild. Nintendo got it right with that one, because they recognize the whole, we can't just put a world out there and fill it with chores, right? Because that's not fun. So instead, they made a world that was actually interesting in itself, and they filled it with things that, for the most part, like, well, one thing is they filled it with things that are pretty much entirely optional. Like, pretty much everything in that game is optional. You can beat the game without beating a single... Ow. Who? Oh, you. Okay, you need to die. Die, thank you. Okay. So you can beat Breath of the Wild without ever beating a divine beast, without ever going into a... what were they called? A shrine. Whoops. Without ever going into a shrine, except for the first few where you get your powers, and even then I think you can skip some if you're speedrunning, but yeah, pretty much everything in that game is optional. So and everything in that game directly feeds into your main goal. Kind of like this game, where you're constantly picking stuff up that could help you, it could actually help you on the way to your goal. Ooh, this actually blocks off everything else. So I'm going to have to cross the tundra if I want to go over there, but I've already explored over there. So I think actually we go back and explore the area to the northwest. Yeah, to use the example that I'm most familiar with when talking about big AAA open world games, Assassin's Creed. Right, I played Assassin's Creed 2, and I enjoyed it. And that has a lot of optional stuff in it, right? But not all the optional stuff you do in that game really gets you anything. Like, I remember, if I'm remembering the game right, there were these feathers that you could go and collect that, just kind of added to a tally. And then that was pretty much it for the feathers. They didn't give you any sort of upgrades, or they didn't really contribute to you getting stronger in any way or furthering your goal. They were just kind of there, and you can do them if you want, just as a thing to do. And that's not that interesting. Truly, it's not. And like I said, I did enjoy that game, but that's not what I enjoyed about that game. What I enjoyed about that game was, being an assassin and, jumping down on people and stabbing them, and it's like, fighting off guards, and that was fun. But then it stopped being fun about halfway through Assassin's Creed 3, which is the next one that I played, and yeah, I think I finished that one, but like barely, because I really wasn't that interested, because it was more of the same, right? There was a lot of stuff in the game. Like, I'm one of those people who, when given a game like that, will want to do everything in the game. Like, I started Skyrim at one point. I haven't beaten it, specifically for reasons that I'm talking about. I started Skyrim at one point, and I was like, okay, you know what? And this is what I want to do. This is something that I tend to want to do, because I tend to want to try to consume all the content. And maybe I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but I think you get what I'm saying. I try to do all there is to do in the game, because, you know, I want to get all I can out of the one experience. But in a game like Assassin's Creed or Skyrim, that just turns into doing these things that aren't inherently interesting in themselves, but are just, I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, but they're basically just things to tick off on a checklist. It's like, it's not, I don't know, it's weird, right? Because I'm kind of exactly the type of person that those games are marketed to, in that I am the type who wants to just do everything in a game. And theoretically, if it was done right, then I'd be like, oh man, that's so cool. But I enjoy games like that. I find I enjoy games like that so much more when I don't try to, ow. Who? Who? Where? Who? Somebody hit me. Oh, you. It's fine. Just put a couple arrows in you. What? Die. Thank you. Yeah, funnily enough, despite my natural inclination to just try and do everything in a game, when it comes to open world games, I tend to have more fun when I don't feel obligated to do everything. So ultimately, the most fun game for me is one that has a bunch to do, but doesn't make me feel like, you know, that basically doesn't tell me that, oh, yep, you gotta do all the things, right? That actually, potentially one that even just says, hey, you don't have to, that explicitly states like, hey, you don't have to do everything here. You can just move on whenever you want. And that I feel is at least how an open world game should be for me. Like, perhaps there are people out there who enjoy just ticking things off the checklist, but that's not me, right? I do enough of that in my day-to-day life. Just being like, okay, here's what I need to do. Here's every step that I need to do. I know how to do it. I just need to do it, right? I get plenty of that just existing as a human being. So I like things. I guess the best thing for me is just to be like, yeah, I guess I don't need to do everything. Basically a game that offers me things that I want to do rather than things I feel I want to do rather than things I feel I need to do, right? Because if I'm playing a game, right, I want it to be because I want to play the game, not because I feel like I need to play the game. And I don't think I'm alone in that. So So those big games like MMOs and the Assassin's Creeds and Far Cries and basically any Ubisoft open world, not so much for me. At least not anymore. But hey, maybe we'll find another good open world game next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. Just gotta wait for Minecraft 2.